So Emma, thanks so much for coming on Famous Faces.
Cheers.
And your career is really thriving now.
It is, yeah, it's doing well. I still don't think of myself as a famous face, but that's cool. I'm down with it.
That's for us to decide.
Mm-hmm.
But how did it all start? How did you start performing, or how did you even get into music?
Music is probably my family's fault. My older sister was really into musical theatre. So like as kids we used to listen to kind of Les Mis and Phantom of the Opera and stuff on tapes, and we'd like slow down the duets and like write down the lyrics, and then we'd practice the duets together and stuff at home. So my parents were subject to like dramatic scenes in the living room of like the different duets.
So the aunts and uncles and neighbours would come in and they'd be like, put on Les Mis.
The entire stage show, yeah, we'd have like a rotating sitting room, kind of a central. I wish we had a house that elaborate. That would be amazing.
Backdrops.
Yeah, the works. Nothing quite that complex, but my parents would just arrive down and I'd be in like some random costume that we'd made up out of pajamas and bed sheets and stuff every now and then. So that was good fun. And then I suppose my mum tried to teach me my first guitar chords. She tried to, and then it took kind of the junior cert when I had stuff I actually needed to be doing, and then I decided now is the best time to learn to play guitar. So I needed, it was a great way to procrastinate.
I think Irish kids always get kind of pushed by their parents. Like I remember myself as a child, my dad would pick me up and put me on the kitchen table going, perform now, we're all here.
Absolutely.
And it's just that.
Without fail as a kid, yeah. And I mean I was always a performer anyway. Any of my kind of primary school friends' parents would always say she needs to be on the stage, like she has to be, because I was a bit of a chatterbox and a messer. I got kicked out of play school because I wouldn't stop singing. So there was always that was kind of probably the beginning of the end.
So you put on your own gigs and play schools?
Yeah, absolutely. I never got cast in any of the shows because I had no focus. I wouldn't learn lines, so it was kind of a thing of the teacher would give me an instruction, and instead of following the instruction, I would just sing her words back to her. Okay. And wreck her head. So eventually I just got kicked out of the Nina, it's my claim to fame. That's my personal source of pride.
Something for the book.
Yeah, definitely.
And the classical side of things, are you still into that kind of, would you be a fan of it, or would you?
Yeah, no, I am. I'd have loved to have had the kind of the discipline to go down that route properly and really pursue it as training. Because I think it's beautiful and it's really impressive when someone is good at it, But it's at the moment, I suppose my focus is kind of the songwriting stuff. Like I do kind of wedding singing, and I'll do gigs and events like that. But I'm interested in it and I enjoy it, but it wouldn't be my genre anymore, really. Yeah.
And the songwriting, I mean, that seems to be like key these days, because singing other people's music and covering is fine to establish. But singing your own material is definitely. What kind of push you forward into kind of the higher rankings? Yeah,
well, I suppose, I mean, I was doing it for a while at open mics and stuff, playing my own stuff and playing little kind of support slots. Dolan's have been really supportive of me for that kind of stuff and giving me supports for really great names and stuff. But I think around about early last year when I put out Tug of War, and I was just telling my own story of kind of feeling awful. And people engaged with that, and I think when you're telling your own unique personal story, that is something people can latch onto a lot more than doing covers or doing. There's tons of sensational artists out there doing brilliant versions of songs, but you telling your own story is what sets you apart as an artist. So if you can do that, I think.
Yeah, because a good singer-songwriter is a storyteller.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day,
songs, if you think of when you ask them what's their favourite song, it's usually a song that's full of emotion on whatever level, so they can relate to it at that point in their life.
Yeah, very rarely. I'm not speaking. I'm not making a sweeping generalization here, but very rarely are you going to ask someone their favourite song and they're going to say Maniac 2000.
Yeah. Smack my bitch up.
I mean, I get it. They're great songs, but very.
They could have their reasons for liking it.
Absolutely, everyone has their own emotional attachment to stuff, but typically speaking, they're not going to go, oh man, the lyrics of Maniac 2000 they hit me right here,
But it comes across like kind of all arts. You ask people their favourite film, they say Shawshank Redemption 9 times out of 10 because it's such an emotionally driven film.
Yeah.
It's the same with songs.
Yeah. I suppose each to their own as well, because I've got a few friends who will say Anchorman. So it's a very personal choice.
Each to their own. So you were saying with the classical music and now your own style, how do you brand yourself? What is your style?
I haven't a clue. I was doing an interview recently for I Love Limerick, and again another group who've just been brilliantly supportive in class, and the girl was asking me how I'd categorise myself, and I was kind of saying like I would love to think I'm like folk fusion with something else, but there's probably people out there who are like, no, you're just folk. Like like you're not doing anything unique or different. What you're doing is you're singing and you're playing a guitar. So I try and keep as broad a mind as possible in terms of what I want to do and the kind of songs I want to write and who I want to work with, because I think it makes you a better artist, and it leaves you open. It leaves you open to growing and changing, and you know, putting yourself in a box and pigeonholing yourself is shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah,
really.
There's so many artists that had classical training and other types of training, like Roy Orbison's and stuff like that. You know, there's even though they went down an industry or their own. They kind of always kind of dipped in and out of different things.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. It's a great way to improve your craft if you have as much training as possible in as many things as possible.
Yeah.
You get a lot of singer-songwriters who might be brilliant, but that little bit of training to help them protect their voice and broaden their mind in terms of what they're writing about and the way they perform their songs makes a huge difference, you know?
Yeah.
And you can hear it when they've had that little bit of training or that little bit of extra kind of influence. So I think there's a lot to be said for kind of just, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with learning. I think, you know, you should always be open to learning. The worst it can do, it's not gonna hurt you. And
it's a challenge too,
yeah.
You know, because you don't want anything going stale if you kind of mix genres and stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah. I think people love to hear new fusions of stuff. Like I think Mumford & Sons, when they came out, were doing something quite different for the time, in terms of their kind of combination of like stomping folk with this kind of rock elements. Some of their recent stuff suddenly incorporated rap, and I think like that got a little bit of, you know, critique. But by and large, what they were doing when they started out, people loved because it was different, and they were creating a new kind of a fusion of stuff, and people like to hear that. So
and you see bands that are doing well and songwriters that, you know, they're constantly changing with the times. You know, the script had a bit of that at the start as well, and you know, you see U2 do it. I mean, constantly, and
all
even
the time.
our own Cranberries here. You know, there's that kind of redevelop something and give it another twist.
Yeah, you have to be careful as well not to betray your fans. You know, you've got fans who love what you kind of started out with, the people who supported you from day one, love who you were, and the reason they're supporting you is because of that. So if you suddenly rebrand and become a different artist and do something completely new too quickly, you're going to lose that fan base. But aside from that, you're going to lose the support and the love of people who got you where you are. So you have to respect that as well. Yeah. So when
they're like your organic fan base.
Exactly.
They're the start.
Yeah, and like obviously the people who really care about you as a person and as an artist will support you no matter what your choices are. But out of respect to people, you kind of have to make your transition a bit gradual and kind of appreciate what your roots were. Yeah. I think it's important to do that.
So then your roots would have been, you know, with family and music and stuff like that as it built up along. These kind of overnight successes with like TV shows like X Factor, The Voice and things like that. How do you feel about that? Do you think, are they kind of like plastic musicians that
I heard something really recently that I think resonates with that quite strongly, is that an overnight success takes 25 years. You know, there's no such thing as a genuine overnight actual success. Anyone who's suddenly discovered overnight has put the work in to be discovered, to be good enough to be resilient and to sustain a career. So you'll have someone who might go viral, but that doesn't necessarily make them a success as an artist. So you have to, I don't agree with the likes of X Factor and stuff in the way they portray people and the editing and the sob story element of things, of kind of making someone out to be, you know, the hero of their own story. Yeah. I think that's
you seem to have a story. You could be the best voice in the world, but if you don't have that emotional hook.
Yeah, well, it's TV at the end of the day, you know, they want characters, they don't want people. Yeah. So they want to paint someone as the hero, the heroine, the femme fatale, they want to create these little groups. I mean, you see it in, it's interesting in musical theatre as well, you see that happening. A few of my friends have been quite successful in musical theatre in London and in the US and stuff. And they talk about how when you're in acting school or when you're in musical theatre kind of colleges and courses, they try and fill boxes. So they have, you know, there's the good looking blonde, there's the quirky artsy indie person, there's the loud Idina Menzel kind of brunette who's going to be the belter. You know, you've got the different kind of characters, and they want to fill those kind of categories. So that's what they're looking for. So it's sort of a kind of a
tight casting.
I suppose it's kind of a consolation then for someone who doesn't get the casting for something, that it's not you or your talent, but it's that they want this character, they want this person. So
I heard a thing recently talking about Johnny Depp that way, that at one point in his career he was this kind of Marlon Brando type character that he could have gone on to that kind of greatness. Yeah. Now he is great in his own right, but now a lot of directors won't work with him because he's only a character of sorts.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
he's Peter Pan or he's whoever. You know, that's the kind of character he is this kind of figment kind of character. That's kind
absolutely.
of more bigger than life. So now it's probably impossible for him to go back and just do a regular role.
I'd say so, yeah. He really let himself get kind of cornered into that Tim Burton sort of category of stuff where, he's the kind of the weird, almost animated character in every movie, and he was a brilliant actor. I think as well, part of people not wanting to work with him is who he is personally. He's done himself a lot of damage in his personal life.
Yeah, so you're about to go on tour. You've obviously toured around Ireland a little bit and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you excited about this one?
I am, I've done kind of the circuit a little bit in Ireland. I'd love to do more of Ireland, but I suppose when I come back from the tour I'll get a chance to do a bit more, hopefully.
She's back, we need her.
Yeah.
She was gone and now we couldn't have her when she was gone. Now
absolutely, yeah. She's gone for a whole month.
I think you have to do that. I think you have to be away
for
and
sure,
come back.
It helps. It definitely helps. I remember actually, I suppose, a year ago when I was just crowdfunding my kind of EP and talking to like my boyfriend and my mom, and kind of they had these kind of ideas of where I was going and what I was going to be doing, and my mom was talking about how, oh yeah, I know you're going to be one of these artists now that goes away to Germany, and you know, oh, would you not go away and do one of those tours now and come back then, and everyone will want to book you for gigs then, and it'll be great. And I was like, Mom, that's never going to happen. I'm not going to ever be booked for a tour. And then randomly this tour just kind of appeared from the sky, kind of. There was so these guys called Magnetic Music are booking me for this tour for the length of Germany and into Switzerland as well for a month. It'll be myself and 3 other acts, and we're going to get a chance to play some seriously stunning venues, like these massive, like 1,000-seater churches and concert halls across Germany, and it's crazy exciting. Like I have no idea how it's going to go or what's going to happen, but from the sound of things, it's a beautiful tour. I know that Niamh Dunn, who, you know, she's in Bioga. She's the violinist that Ed Sheeran wrote Galway Girl about.
Right.
So she did my slot before. Declan O'Rourke, who I'm a huge fan of, he did that slot before as well. There's been there's a lot of big shoes to fill. Yeah. So I'm excited about it. Should be good.
Excellent. Sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were on the road in Ireland, everyone has a story from the road. You must have one.
I'm trying to think of a on the road story, but I don't know if I have anything. I'm not very wild. Like, I'm quite a quiet person.
You're not throwing TVs out windows or
not anytime
yet.
soon. No, that might happen in Germany, like, you know, on the road with a group of people for a month.
I don't think the satisfaction of throwing a flat screen TV is there. Like
definitely
the Boxers,
no.
Big tube ones. There was a good impact there.
Absolutely, it's nowhere near the same. Might throw an Xbox out the window at some point maybe or something, or an espresso machine. Jeez.
Espresso.
What a world we live in, huh?
Yeah, why not?
But I'm trying to, like, I know, to be honest, like with the band I toured with, everyone was so sound and so like lovely that there was never any drama or anything. We just kind of chilled out. There was a time we went to Dingle, and they have this brilliant nightclub in Dingle called the Druid, and it's like all like 90s chart topper music being played, and everyone in Dingle's cracked. Like, they're all mental. So we went down to this nightclub, which is like kind of like Costello's in Limerick. Like the upstairs is a carpeted, really cramped, everything is kind of graffitied on kind of spot, and everyone's just going mad. There's this one fella in like an upside down backwards cap up on the stage, just going 90, losing himself in the music. It was brilliant, it was class, and a lot of us just went mad, and we went, it was just lovely. Dingle's great. We went down to the riverside and we just drank a few bottles of wine between us and just chilled, and it's just a great spot to gig. But nothing particularly wild or rockstar has ever happened on my kind of tours as of yet, but it's a matter of time. Stay tuned.
There's certain things I do before I perform, and if people saw me, they think I was weird. So
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm very curious.
Yeah. It's different for a magician,
I suppose. Yeah. I tend to have a whiskey, a Guinness, and do some really strange vocal warm-ups that, like, because up around here I find gets really kind of, you forget, like, vocal placement is really weird. So when you're singing, if you don't have your vocal placement correct, you're going to sound really nasal, or you're going to sound really breathy, and it's not going to sound right. So there's some very strange vocal warm-ups I have to do before going on stage that if anyone heard me, they'd think I was having a seizure. Like, very odd stuff. So
do you want to do one?
Oh God, no one.
Go on, do one.
Oh, it's so weird. No, I can't.
Well,
I can't. It's so weird. I can't. I would die if I watch that back.
Do one.
It'd kill me. It would actually kill me. There's people in this cafe.
Do the easiest one. Do the easiest one.
Okay, well, there's one that you just do that's just like, so you make sure that you're making the most horrible sound possible. All right, and you just go.
Like the Jim Carrey, the most annoying sound in the world.
It's one of them actually. Yeah. So you kind of have to throw your voice in as far as you can with it, and just kind of go, boing, and it really opens up this part of your nose.
We'll put in a ball and bounce across the stage when you do that.
I find it really helps. It's something that my first ever vocal technique teacher was Maura Kiri Scanlon. She's brilliant. She works with tons of excellent musicians around town, and I've been working with her.
There is lots of weird ones.
There are some very strange
ones.
ones.
Like top of the tongue, lips and the teeth, and all this.
Yeah, there's very strange ones. And there's like one that's like, you have to say yeah, but like in a really, really witchy, horrible voice, and kind of really scrunch up your face and open up all of the kind of sinus areas and stuff. Music is weird. Singing is weird.
So Emma, I know you're only at the start of your career and is establishing now and building up. But how would you like to be remembered in the bigger picture?
In the bigger picture, how would I like to be remembered? Like after I die?
It's a bit heavy, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's huge.
I think I'd like to be remembered as someone who helped people. It's really important to me to help and support other kind of people who are just trying to catch a break in anything. And as someone who left people walking away feeling kind of good about themselves, and I suppose there's a bit of crack. Like I think every Irish person just wants to be a bit of crack. Like if you're not, you're really Irish. I don't know. I think probably those things. Help people, feel nice, crack.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Like that. There are 3 positives.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, brilliant.
Cool. You're a closed book, and I can read your meaning written in your sullen looks. As you stand up there screaming and I lie awake, wondering, talking in my head. Is it real? Is any of it more than me? Or am I a dead man walking? Dead man walking. There's a dreadful fish, and through my bloodstream swimming, whispering your written words, the worst of which I'm dreaming. And I stand and face a camera with the focus ever shifting. Is it real? Is any of it more than me? Are we more than lost souls? Than lost souls drifting. There's a reason, well, that we don't turn your pages, locked up in your chosen hell. You've rolled the rock of ages, and I stand and raise an empty glass with your wisdom unexplained. Is it real? Is any of it more than me? Have the words and the letters changed? I came, didn't I? And I was there, wasn't I? Down here aren't I? And what more can you look for in these eyes, in these eyes, in these eyes of mine? So I lie awake wondering, and I turn and face a camera, and I stand and raise an empty glass. So I lie awake wondering, talking in my head. Is it real? Is any of it more than me? Or am I dead? Is it real? Is any of it more than me? Or am I dead? Is it real? Is any of it more than me? Or am I a dead man walking?
Thanks.